Hello. In this video today, we'll be doing something different that I think will relate to everyone sane in this day and age in the MUGEN community, along with its subcommunities as well, such as Cheapy community, Balanced community, Juice community, etc. That being said, let's not delay. Let's begin, and remember you're free to share your pet peeves, annoying experiences, and much more in the comments. Your feedback is valid. Let's start with MUGEN pet peeve and annoyance #1. People are constantly demanding and asking for content, as if they are an exception, they are special. This one is the one I wanted to touch on for years, for as long as I've been dealing with this many times. At first, I thought it was me getting old and just becoming annoyed with everything, but since there were many instances, I realized it wasn't my fault whatsoever. I have had people constantly request for things even though requests are not open. I've had one person constantly keep mentioning this a manual MUGEN person in my feedback forum, saying to do a manual MUGEN, to the point I had to make a post on it, and it is tiring. Because things like this annoys to me to the point of not wanting to release anything at those times. I've had people ask me to do a lot of things for them, which sometimes I don't mind asking people, but it gets to a point where it is too much, and it is clear that they feel as they are special when they are not. And not going to lie, but these experiences sort of give off that either these are children, which I won't be surprised that they are, or people that simply cannot communicate well. They would ask to move a 100 GB MUGEN to Mediafire or another upload service, because they are the only ones having issues downloading, when I have provided solutions on how to fix said issue, because it can be fixed, and, well, because Google is a thing. Either way, it's something that needs to be fixed, because it can create problems within the community and make people less inclined to help. Because not only that, but I continue to see this in other ways in my next reason, which is MUGEN pet peeve and annoyance #2, lack of following directions, aka reading descriptions, information, summaries, etc. As of lately, I've been having comments in my videos of people asking obvious questions to something that already has been answered in the description, such as where is the link to download this MUGEN, or this screen pack, what's the difference between this character or that character, etc., etc., etc. Which really just made me so disappointed that it is starting to become true that technology really had rid us of basic comprehension. I know this sounds harsh, but this is simply the truth I've been noticing. People are not Googling, people are not reading readmes, people are not reading descriptions, etc., therefore causing confusion and issues, because now people feel as they now have to repeat themselves and constantly direct them to the information that should be common sense to read when it comes to watching any video or downloading any sort of MUGEN content that requires you read the readme. Because of this, the format I use my bump schedules for now has to be implemented in basic MUGEN videos in such as showcases, MUGEN collections, etc. Because now it seems people have gotten slower, which, as someone with a learning disability themselves, is not something I would wish on anyone or everyone, but it's happening, and it's really saddening to see. Having to dumb things down to 1,000 and put a lot of text in videos is really saddening to hear, and it goes to show we need to do better, not only as MUGEN fans, but as people, since I notice something similar at my job as well. Now then, MUGEN pet peeve and annoyance #3. Laziness is starting to become the norm in MUGEN. As if not following directions and acting like spoiled brats, demanding for something to be done for them, are a common norm in the MUGEN community. But now laziness is starting to become a thing as well within the community. And what I mean by this is that, for example, people will constantly request people download something off of MUGEN archive for them to upload to another site when they can make an account themselves, or donate at least $5 to have VIP access. Not that hard. Or, in my personal experience, they would ask for a roster to be made for them when they can make it themselves, and can't respect the wishes of content creators that clearly ask for people to not request for anything if requests are not open. Making MUGEN rosters are a thing that is possible, and if we are being really honest, from experience is not hard to do. It depends on the slots and time you have, and if you have time to beg, ask and request people to do things for you, then you have time to do the same things you are asking yourself. There's resources in which you can learn how to do these things no matter how outdated the tutorial is. It can still assist to this day. Now to, of course, MUGEN pet peeve and annoyance #4. Gatekeeping and elitism in the big year of 2025. Gatekeeping and elitism is easily one of the biggest cultural problems in the MUGEN scene. It's when creators, veterans, or moderators draw invisible lines over what's considered legit, who's allowed to be called a real author, or what counts as proper coding. You'll often see this attitude surface when someone new releases a template-based or AI-assisted character immediately dismissed as lazy or unoriginal. What those critics miss is that MUGEN's entire DNA was built around remixing, learning, and improving on each other's work. That's literally what keeps the engine alive decades later. Gatekeeping mainly discourages experimentation because it turns creativity into a hierarchy instead of a playground. New authors start to second-guess themselves, fearing public ridicule or thread lockouts just for asking, "How do I make a helper loop?" The sad irony is that the same veterans who preach, "Do it from scratch," often started by editing someone else's files. This mindset builds walls instead of bridges, and walls never foster innovation. Let's not forget the dumb shit of, "Did you have permission to upload this?" Or people that have this mentality that it is illegal to leak a character they didn't even create from scratch, often kit-bashed, edited sprites, or ripped assets. Like, why are we making a 1,238,192,380,1293 Donald edit private, when it is no different from the other one's SMH anyways? The modern community needs to replace that elitism with open mentorship. When experienced coders share cleaned-up templates, reference code, or debugging advice without ego, it creates exponential growth. People improve faster, collaboration expands, and the ecosystem becomes stronger. The next generation of creators shouldn't have to fight for legitimacy. They should be inspired, guided, and encouraged to take what exists and make it their own. If MUGEN wants to thrive in the long term, it has to shift from "prove you belong" to "let's build together." That's how the community moves from territorial to transformative, and that's what ensures its legacy continues beyond a handful of isolated creators guarding their techniques. Now the most important and seriously important MUGEN pet peeve and annoyance #5. The lack of action towards problematic authors, privateers, and gatekeepers. You're probably wondering, or making a think pieces, that this isn't true and that there are problematic users banned from MUGEN discords and forums all the time. But the thing is this, believe it or not, there are problematic authors and in general users that are still in power and still are thriving to this day. That is the problem. Therefore, encourages problematic users to enter in these forums and giving sane mods and other regular users headaches. How? Well, it is simple. MUGEN community seems to be very similar to the Hollywood industry in this sense, because there are a couple of big-name authors that I will not be dropping that has done some either really shady, problematic, and concerning things, yet still thrive in MUGEN spaces because of their creations being that good. Now am I saying to stop and be weary of the chars you download depending on the author? No, in MUGEN it is very easy to separate the art from the artist, since most of the authors do edits, anyways, of pre-existing chars from non-problematic authors. But either way, they don't get punished. Especially since, trust me, believe it or not, I've seen a fair share of problematic users that can still post on forums, thrive in discords, and so much more. As someone who is a ARMY aka a BTS fan, we always worked together to get rid of problematic users in the K-pop community who operated similar to these people, yet in MUGEN, it seems that everyone is either too lazy, afraid, or, for reason, don't seem to bat an eye to this because of their status, which creates a lot of issues and encourages other problematic and weirdo users to thrive within the MUGEN scene, even though MUGEN isn't a niche thing. Well, not anymore. This is by far the biggest pet peeve, because I've seen some people bring this up before and nothing gets done about it. The more those who don't bat an eye at these, the more you are leaving yourselves to be a witness and enabler of the problem. I understand people like mods would like to prevent issues and problems and don't want to be put in drama, But think of it like this. Would you rather ignore issues in the community that would become bigger in the future in exchange for peace? Which BTW that peace will be gone once the issues do become big? Or would you rather at least try to do something about it now, such as speaking up on it? And think of plans to prevent it from becoming a problem in the future, to make sure that peace later on doesn't get disrupted. I'll leave that for you all to decide. That being said, that's all I have to say on that. Do you agree with my points given within the video? Or do you have some counter-arguments? Do you perhaps also have something to add? Let me know in the comments and let's get this discussion started.